but I think everyone left because we got like the internet went out all of a sudden. I've never had that happen before, but we were doing a live stream and it just disappeared. So I'm not sure if people are coming back. We wanted to answer their questions. Oh, well.
That never happened before.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever happened before. We were just live streaming. We had a decent amount of people on here, and they were asking great questions, and then we suddenly just, the whole thing died. So, like the browser died or something like that. We need something we can put this on so I don't have to hold it.
I had a stand, but somebody took it.
All right, there we go. We can come over here. It's getting to be a lot holding that.
Oh, I
All right.
bet.
Cool. All right, well, yeah, so next question, is some hair fall common even during finasteride? Of course, yes.
Yes.
You should not worry about hair fall at all, period. Like, you shouldn't worry about seeing hair in the drain, seeing hair on your hands when you wash your hair, like any of that. That has nothing to do with diagnosing hair loss, essentially. Would you say so as well?
No, absolutely.
Nothing to do with
there's
that.
2 shedding phases, there's 2 growth phases, and we want to make sure that things are constantly cycling. So, but the problem is, and I'm absolutely in agreement with you, once you start investing in all this stuff and seeing everything, you start to freak out because now you're seeing hair because you're paying attention to it. So don't freak out.
Yeah, so it's a really common misconception, and I understand it because I have the same thought go through my mind, even though I really understand this stuff quite well. When I go to wash my hair, and I wash my hair, and there's like a bunch of hairs in my hands, I'm like, shit, am I losing my hair? I'm like, how many grafts is that just disappeared down the drain?
Do you want to see a grown man cry?
Yeah, so I understand that, but actually, that's just a psychological thing. Seeing those hairs in your hands has nothing to do with actually what happens in hair loss. Hair loss is when the hair falls out and then it grows back weaker and finer and thinner and slowly dies. But those hairs are going to grow back, and if you're lucky or you're on medication, they might even grow back stronger and thicker than the last time that they fell out. So it's nothing to worry about at all. It says, I go to the gym regularly, but fear to use creatine. Does creatine impact my DHT level and aggravate my hair loss?
Protect with Locklab.
Yes, I mean, you can take Locklab and then you don't have to worry about that.
Anything anybody out there does, no matter what age, whether it's supplementation in the gym, and I'm talking about locker room supplementation. So obviously that's not over the counter stuff. Prescription, hormone replacement therapy, creatine, or when you get older, hormone replacement therapy as well, TRT. You need to be protected with Locklab. That's just it. So don't think that because your DHT is here and then you go on TRT and it goes to here, that you're more at risk, as long as you protect it with the medication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I take creatine, so I haven't noticed any difference as far as like negatively affecting my hair, and I've been on it for I take creatine for about 2 years. I guess I've been taking creatine, so. Creatine is awesome. Like, I see a major difference in the way my body looks by taking creatine.
Cool. That's awesome. It is a great supplement.
Actually, yeah. Funny enough, we were literally just talking about creatine at Starbucks like an hour ago, and I need to take my creatine today because I haven't taken it in about a week. I just been forgetting. MU1000 says, I go to the gym regularly. Okay, no. This is just GX7 says hi. Cool. Yeah, any other questions, guys? Feel free to ask. This is all about hair loss, hair transplants, anything that has to do with you keeping your hair or getting more hair, we are here to answer. And if you don't know, my brothers and I, with the counsel of Steve and advice from Dr. McGrath, who formulated this pill, recently, about a year ago now, launched Locklab, the website, locklab.co, and we are now selling the formulation that Dr. McGrath came up with, which is a pill that I've been taking for about 6 years. My brothers have been taking for 6 years. Steve has been on it for 7, 8 years. And it's essentially what we feel is the ideal dose of 5 milligrams of oral minoxidil, 1.1 milligrams of finasteride, and biotin. And all together in one pill, you pop it once a day, and essentially that does everything that you need for your hair. It's like total game changer for hair. And we've got thousands of guys on it now, and one of the number one comments that we get from people is, I've tried everything and I thought none of this stuff is really going to work. And then I got on Locklab and I'm seeing this huge boost in the amount of hair I have. So it also, I think, has to do with we source the highest quality ingredients. I think ingredients actually do matter more than people think.
Absolutely. And that is 100%. So, I'll just chime in and say this because I'm not too good of a salesman, so to say. And the important thing is, like one time I actually got accused by someone that said, Steve, like you told me that this was before Locklab. You told me that the product that you guys were, and we have nothing to do with where you were getting the product, the medication. So we had compounding pharmacies that were using the very best product that was available on the market. And all I said is that the CVS's and the Walgreens of the world, they're big corporations and they're buying low and selling high, right? Their pharmacists that work in there have no idea what was actually put into that pill. It's FDA approved, yes. We're not saying it's not. And it could be just as good as what we were sending people for. But the pharmacist's like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He goes, that's not true. Absolutely argue that 100%. Whatever the corporation of, let's just say CVS, finds a cheaper price for a cargo ship full of finasteride, that's what they're going to use. Even though that finasteride is approved by the FDA, it could be at a lower standard than what Locklab uses, because their whole point is we will guarantee you with a quality control organizationally that it's the top. Because personally, myself and physicians that I work with, like Dr. McGrath, they want their hair transplants to look better, so they need to get the very best product without paying $275 a month for Propecia. So Locklab comes along, figures it out, and now you get the very best on the market at a really good price, so it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, we get all of our product third-party tested regularly, and we have a much higher standards than the FDA requires for our testing, and the API, which is the active pharmaceutical ingredient, for the standards and the variants in that. So here you go. MB in 1000 says, I'm using finasteride. I want to go for PRP. Will it improve the quality of hairs? I'm just in the initial stages of hair loss, and can I also skip finasteride or minoxidil if I go for regular PRP? No, absolutely not. No, regular PRP will not substitute finasteride and minoxidil use, period. So, I really don't get it. We make this pretty simple. You should get on the oral minoxidil, oral finasteride. You should be doing both of those things.
So not everybody. A lot of people would like to believe that even though it would be a little bit pricey, you can go get something, an injection, or maybe even like on TV, there's these certain medications you take one pill every quarter. I don't know what that's for, liver damage or something. But nobody wants to take a pill every day. And if there's something else they can take that they don't have to the PRP, to my knowledge, does nothing. Now, I'm not sitting here, I don't know who the clinic is you spoke to, and it's all over the place. Every med spa, every derm practice, every plastic surgeon, every cosmetic clinic offers PRP for hair restoration. Taking blood out of your arm, putting it in a centrifuge, pulling out the plasma and sticking it back in your head does zero. It does nothing.
You're not getting to the root cause of what's causing your hair loss at all. It's not going to help you keep your hair. So for instance, with Locklab, and I don't know what country you live in, so it might not be available because it's only available in the US, but you're literally it's to me, it's just like such a no-brainer, because there's nothing else that you can do in your life that is so important, that's so easy to fix. Like, if someone could told me, you can take this pill once a day and you'll never wrinkle and your face will never get saggy as you age, I'd be like, oh my God, that's amazing. Or you can just take this pill every day. There's very low risk of side effects, at extremely low, which there is extremely low on Locklab. And you can have great muscles and you'll never have to go to the gym. I'd be absolutely that. But we actually have something like that, which is for hair loss. You can take this pill every day and you don't have to worry about losing your hair anymore. The chances that you do is extremely low,
Right.
And you'll probably get a boost in the opposite direction, where your hair will actually look a lot better than it does right now. And all you have to do is just take this pill every day. And by the way, it's not even very expensive. It costs, I pay more in medical insurance in 1 month just for having medical insurance than the cost of Locklab for an entire year.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy, you know?
I mean, it's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault that's doing research. Unfortunately, there's young people, middle-aged people, older people that are waking up every day with hair loss for the first time. So you're exploring, and online, there's a lot of stuff about PRP. So I just want to make it clear. I have no motivation financially to talk you out of PRP. Yeah, I don't want you to waste your money, but I'd rather see you get on something that I know works.
Okay, cool. So, we got a comment. I haven't had hair since I went to the Marine Corps in 1985. Well, sorry to hear that. I'm not sure if you have any questions, happy to help. But so MB1000 said, is there any duration to which finasteride will be effective? Will there be a situation after some years of something, it will stop working? Most of the time, no. Most of the time, it will work indefinitely. If there are rare cases where people over time might need something stronger at some point, but yeah, it's essentially rare. So for the most part, it does the trick.
Well, if you think about it, right, let's just go back to the biology of it.
Yeah, the biology, cool.
So if we're knocking down the DHT and it's to the level that we need it, and then you're going 10 years, 15 years, why, I'm not asking you to answer this question. So why would your body all of a sudden stop allowing the finasteride to suppress the DHT? Mm-hmm. It just won't. Now, if you have some medical issue, medical condition, and for some reason, and I've never heard of any, that's going to stop happening, then obviously we have to switch to plan B, whatever that may be. But I got a lot of experience, and I've been looking at people's heads for a really long time, and that's just something that I really am not that worried about.
Yeah, for about 97% of men, it should just, that's what we estimate. I'm talking to a bunch of doctors about this as well, who are experts in hair. For about 97% of men, the finasteride, and especially in combination with the oral minoxidil, should do the trick. So the difference is, the big difference is the oral minoxidil, the 5 milligrams of oral minoxidil. Because the thing is, finasteride by itself does a pretty good job. It's pretty good, and for, I would say, most guys, that's enough to stop hair loss is finasteride. But if they're using good quality finasteride, that's also very important. So the difference is that the oral minoxidil is a completely different mechanism of how it's helping your hair than the finasteride. It's right. Totally different. And so what happens is when you add the oral minoxidil, it's essentially like helping the finasteride. The finasteride almost doesn't have to work as hard because it's like the hair has already been put in this anagen strong growth phase. Right. So the finasteride doesn't essentially doesn't have as much power in attacking it because it's not weak. Does that make sense?
Well, you're close. It's so the finasteride is attacking a stronger anagen hair.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And what it's trying to do is based on your predisposed genetic pattern. It's trying to cut off that blood supply, and it's harder to do that with a stronger hair. Mm-hmm. So you've got the best of both worlds. Yes, David.
Yeah, so they work so much better in combination than they do alone. Because I'll talk to a lot of guys and I'm like, man, I'm on finasteride, and it's really slowed down my hair loss. My hair doesn't it's still not really looking that great, and I feel like it's maybe slowly losing it, and the hairline's slowly receding. Then adding that minoxidil, they get on that with the 5 milligrams of oral minoxidil, and it's like, oh, dude, this is totally different. This is it's I already was taking finasteride, but this is just night and day difference of taking one.
Yeah, and you have to remember that everybody responds differently. Results are going to vary. I have never felt like I was a victim, and once I got through the whole emotional issue with losing my hair, looking so much older, I was so young, and then I want to help everyone, I'm really happy with what I would say in a scale of 1 to 10, a 3. David's a 9. I'm a 3, but I'm happy with that because I would have been a 0. So we all have to have realistic expectations of what we can achieve, even with the medication.
Yeah, totally. So John Bourne says, hi, may I ask your advice about how to get the best hair doctor to do my crown? I'm from the UK, and how different is the technical side compared to the hairline? And then Danish says, hello again. Regular viewer from Pakistan. I have a question. I stopped finasteride from last 1 year now. I wanted to start again. My age is 27. Should I take on alternative days or regularly?
No, every day.
I would just take every day. Yeah, take every day. So, and we'll get to your question here, John, just a second. So, okay, yeah, same question. Yeah, so every day finasteride, every day. You want to, like, I've realized, I have some of this, and I've noticed that most guys do. We all want to, like, be our own. We all want to think we're special, and we can get away with this thing that nobody, like, with something different. So, like, oh, we'll take finasteride. It says take finasteride every day, 1 milligram, like, every day,
Yeah.
right? But then we're like, oh, well, like, I saw this thing online. I can just take it every day, or maybe I can just take half as much, and I can cut it up, and And it's like, why, like. Don't mess with that.
Don't pay attention. Don't pay attention to those guys.
There were literally billions of dollars put into the research of this in order to come up with this plan, and so, like, just stick to the plan. It's gonna,
You want to hear something funny? So I used to go years and years and years ago to the Meadowlands, which was a horse race track. And when you're really young, you're really impressionable. So I wasn't even in like the boxes. I was in like the grandstand, right? And you're kind of like hanging around. I was by myself. You have a little program. You're trying to pick the horses. And you hear this guy talking to another guy. He's in the grandstand too. He can't afford to sit in like the box. And he's like, oh man. And he starts talking about the 7 horse in the next race, right? Yeah. And you're like, he knows something. Yeah. He knows something, okay? So like when you guys are online, and I'm not teasing you guys, I'm one of you.
Yeah.
When you guys are online and you're reading these things on these different, places to find information, they don't know anything more than you know. They don't, because there's no clinical studies on this kind of stuff, and there's not even a lot of anecdotal stuff out there done in these clinics. These doctors that are board certified that David and I like to align ourselves with, they're using these products and they have a protocol. Dr. McGrath obviously created the Locklab brand for a reason, in a certain way, because that's how it works best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, John was saying, as far as you're in the UK, and as far as like he was essentially saying how to best get the best hair transplant doctor for his crown, and how different the technical side compared to the hairline. So, I mean, I do think that the crown, would you say is? I mean, it's not as technical. It doesn't require the same art that the hairline does. Would you say?
Yes, it does.
It does. Okay, interesting.
Yes, it does. So here's the thing. Couple things. Number one, keep in mind, okay, that the crown is a helicopter view. You're looking down. Mm-hmm. You have either a clockwise whirl, you have a counterclockwise whirl, or you have a double whirl, which is very rare, but it's not anything wrong with you, which is more challenging. What the doctor has to do, and why it has to be very much an art, is you have to follow the pattern or it's going to look weird. That is very challenging to do because it's angle and direction in a 3-dimensional space, just like the hairline. The potential problem with crowns is patient expectations. So here's what I tell patients, and I don't want to get you upset or depress you, okay? If you're bald, you're going to look like you're thinning. If you're thinning, you're going to look like you're less thinning. Now, if I'm wrong and you have amazing, ropey, thick horsehair in your donor, and in one procedure, which I've rarely ever seen, you can't see any scalp, then you're one of an anomaly. But you have to be very careful with crowns. When patients come to see Dr. McGrath and other doctors I work with that are really good, and they get their hairlines done, and they're blown away. They're like tears in their eyes. They're like giving reviews. They're like, thank you. I look so great. Oh my God, you're a magician. Now let's do the crown. I get really nervous, because then they're going to say, if I don't warn them, they're going to come back in 12 months and say, oh my God, thank you again for my hairline. I'm so wonderfully thankful, but I don't know if they all grew in the crown. Now, the reason for that is because why would the same doctor that did a life-changing result in your hairline not be able to cover your scalp completely in the crown? It's because of what I just told you. So yes, it requires artistry. Yes, you want to research it. What I would tell you to do is, whoever you're speaking with, show me examples, and make sure they don't show you examples that are like cherry-picked, the very best examples, because I'm warning you, you're going to be disappointed. Always hope for the best, plan for the worst, and that's how you have to do it. But it needs a lot of artwork up there.
Yeah, and the crown just requires a ton of grafts.
Ton of grafts.
Such a huge area, versus like doing 1 inch of a hairline. which also requires a lot of gaps. But yeah, it's the crown is just it's a very difficult place. It's very rare that I see guys who have gotten hair transplants done that have like a really thick looking crown. So. Let me see here. Next question. I'm on finasteride, RU58841, and minoxidil. All right, cool. You're trying everything. I'm using topical minoxidil, but find it hard to use. Can I switch to oral minoxidil? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think oral minoxidil is way more effective, and it's something you're actually going to do. Nobody can like. I was just funny enough. We did a video about this right before went on live, and there's a video where I was looking at my friend Matt's channel about hair loss, and he's got this video about minoxidil, and 90%, it was like 86 point something percent, close to 90% of men who start on topical minoxidil after 1 year have quit. So it's like virtually everyone quits. So it's not really worth starting, in my opinion. Like, do oral.
I met two people in my life, and I've been doing this a long time. Both, ironically, were from Los Angeles, and both were male patients that actually stayed on it for 20 years, twice a day. Only two people I've ever met.
Can someone have a hair transplant with seborrheic dermatitis in the scalp?
Any issues at all that you have, you do not want to do a hair transplant. You want to get that treated. You want to be very, very careful. This is not easy to do. You don't want to put any kind of roadblocks up in front of your doctor. So I'm going to tell you that if someone says to you, well, you know, it's all right, it's not going to bother anything. I disagree. I think that everything should be treated properly, and then, you know, you're cleared for takeoff. I do a lot of work with African American female patients that we require to get a biopsy. I'm not a doctor. I have no medical training. I can clearly see that this 26-year-old has traction alopecia. But what if she has scarring alopecia? The hair's not going to grow. That's not going to be fun. So we require them to get a biopsy to prove it, not for our benefit, but for their benefit. Could you imagine spending all the money you spent and your hair didn't grow? So when you have any kind of skin issues, or even for that matter, medical issues, if you've drank alcohol the day before the procedure, you do not do the procedure. If you've taken ibuprofen a couple days before the procedure, I mean, be very compliant and make sure that when you go into that clinic for that doctor, I mean, David and I are freaks. We're crazy about our hair. We're very happy with our hair. We want you to be too. So don't put yourself in that situation.
Yeah, so Danish Body says, Dr. McGrath once said he stopped finasteride before planning a baby. Is finasteride safe, and why did you say that? So,
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I think the answer is, so generally most people shouldn't stop finasteride when having a baby. The only time I can think is that I think there is essentially less ejaculate volume when you are on finasteride.
Well,
right?
No, there's about it depends on your age, but there's like a 1% chance that you could have a less ejaculate volume. And by the way, Dr. McGrath was not very young when he was trying to have his first child. So you want all the help you can get. So just in case you're having less ejaculate fluid, you'll come off. And here's what I would tell you: if you're going to have a baby or planning to have a baby, I mean, you know, I have one, or you know, and it's all about like ovulation and all that kind of stuff. He was not old, but he was definitely not young. So it was important that they conceived right away. So you come off the finasteride just in case you have less ejaculate fluid. Use a topical finasteride. And as soon as she gets pregnant, you literally go right back on the medication. And as simple as that.
I made both of my babies while taking finasteride.
And so did I.
Okay, and so did you. And my brother did too. So like, I'm not, no, this is all anecdotal, but we all were taking oral finasteride while making babies.
Well,
so
you
should be fine.
Just in case if you didn't know this, my sperm is the strongest in the world, so it didn't matter anyway.
Wow. Okay. I mean,
you didn't know that about me, did you?
I mean,
you can juggle, but look what I got.
That's an interesting claim to have the strongest sperm in the world, since you only have one child. But you're right. Keep telling yourself that.
Exactly.
Yeah. I would say that mine is.
Well, I
would put my sperm in competition with your sperm any day.
I tell people when they're asking me about side effects and things like that, you know, I'm like, hey, listen, I have never been Superman in the bedroom, nor do I claim to be. But at my age, I pray to God every day that I get my finasteride side effects so my sex drive slows down so I can enjoy my life.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, I think you know this, but like, I made 2 babies with like essentially 3 shots. I was like 2 for 3 on the babies thing.
That's
Like,
a good batting average.
yeah. Like, I know the moment that both of my daughters were made, like the exact moment. I was
Wow.
like, I can, yeah, like it's the most clear. I was like, okay, yep, there's a baby. Oh man,
That's funny.
yeah, yeah. My daughter is named. My first daughter is named. I ever told you this. Well, you know she's named Cruz.
Yes.
Yeah, my first daughter's named Cruz,
Yeah.
and you know her mom and I met on a cruise, and she was made on a cruise, and you know, so that's why we named her Cruz.
That's
and
beautiful name.
When she gets older, I'm going to tell her, you should just be glad your name's not Doggy Style.
Oh my, David, please stop it. Oh my God, she's a girl. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Can we start a new YouTube channel called How to Communicate with Women for You?
Oh wow.
No, I mean not in getting them.
David
David gets plenty of women, believe me.
Wow.
Way more than anybody could ever imagine, but I'm talking about
God.
just comes right out, David.
Yeah, for better or worse. All right, so question is using a hairdryer daily for my hairs will create any issue in the future? Do you have any hairdryer issues? I don't use a hairdryer.
So I would tell you to go get the Dyson hairdryer. I'm a little obsessive compulsive. I'm finally willing to admit my limitations in life. I would tell you to get the Dyson hairdryer. I'm a big believer in that. I do think that over drying your hair is damaging to the hair. Now let me say this to you before I scare you away. I don't really believe it's going to cause male pattern baldness. I don't really think it's going to cause female pattern thinning. But you know, I love hair so much. And I love helping people so much that I'm going to sit here and tell you, and I have no idea who you are, and thank you for watching today. Please take care of your hair. Please don't put high volume peroxide if you color your hair on it. Please don't use high heat blow drying if you blow dry your hair. I mean, I actually have a salt pool because I have 2 girls and I don't want them going to a chlorine pool. And it's kind of harder to maintain those things.
Wow.
That's exactly why. The skin too. The skin too. But and even a water filter. Oh man, what was the water filter? The new cool one they have. I can't remember the name of it, but I bought it for my girls just so that it's good for not only their hair for their body. So the water, if you're in an area that uses hard water, I recommend you get one of those filters as well.
Wow. Cool. Danish Body says, I use topical steroids advised by a dermatologist. It's still the same condition persists. One more dermatologist said it cannot be treated. It can be managed. How can I get a hair transplant with this condition?
What condition is that?
The seborrheic dermatitis.
Oh, well, let me give you the answer to that. If you're being treated by a dermatologist, you want to get your potential hair transplant doctor in conversation with your dermatologist, because, like, for instance, right, Dr. McGrath, and he helped with Locklab, so we'll talk about him. He makes sure that he communicates with cardiologists of all patients that have any blood issues, including stents and things like that. There is no pursuing hair transplants without a direct communication between the cardiologist and the doctor, for the reason of medications and when to stop blood thinning medications prior to the procedure. So in your case, what you want is a full report of exactly where the condition is, what's going on with the condition, is it dormant, is it active? If it is, if it comes and goes, when's the last time that it was active? These are all the things that you need to bring together with the derm and the hair transplant doctor in your best interest only.
And Danish Body said, hair transplant surgeons in Pakistan. Do you know any good hair transplant surgeons in Pakistan?
I do not. I apologize. I haven't really spread my wings yet and really gone outside the country. I do have a doctor in Belgium who I'm a big fan of, Dr. Basangi for BHR Clinic. But other than that, I just don't. I mean, I'm being flat out honest with you. I need to explore a little bit outside. There's a lot of hair loss in the U.S. I'm trying to help, but I apologize.
Cool, guys. Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and sign off now. This is our second live stream. We did the live stream and then got cut off about half an hour into it, so we've been on for about an hour now. And yeah, thanks so much for asking great questions. Well, hopefully this is helpful for you. There are about 8 to 10 ABHRS. Okay, so Danish Body said there are about 8 to 10 ABHRS certified and ABHRS certified doctors in Pakistan. Okay, so quickly, so ABHRS and ISHRS are totally different things. So ISHRS, from my understanding, you just pay a fee to be part of that. So the ABHRS actually does testing and actually does a written and oral exam to be part of that. So you want someone who's part of the ABHRS. You can just essentially ignore the ISHRS stamp.
Yeah, and that's a good starting point, because now you have 10 or whatever number is board certified by the ABHRS that you can then choose from. So, I hate to sound biased in any way, because there could be the most wonderful doctor who just hasn't gotten board certified yet, but they had to gone through a fellowship. You need to know who did their training. These are all things that you can see if you choose an ABHRS doctor. And I'm just trying to kind of not shortcut it, but just kind of even the playing field, so that we, well, you can do like Dr. Smith, Dr. Jones. All right, who's ABHRS certified? Okay, let's start there.
Cool. So it sounds like you got some good people to pick from. If there's like 8 to 10 ABHRS certified doctors in Pakistan. All right, awesome, guys. Well, thanks for all the questions, and we hope to see you soon. Ring the notification bell, and we'll see you on the next live.
Thanks for watching.
All right, click the bell. See you. Bye.